Hello there. You're watching the Weiss channel. Dot, 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 dot. Today we're going to do a little introduction to geometry. Okay. All right. So here are some general things that I'm going to want you to know if you're taking my geometry class. Name this line, all right? This line, there's three ways to name this line. First way you could call it is DF, line DF. You have to put this line with both arrows. A line with both arrows means line. It has to have both arrows because a line goes in both directions forever, nonstop. That's the definition of a line. So I could call it DF or I could call it FD with the line above it. The other thing I could call it is P. For some reason, I don't need the line, okay? The script letter is another way to name it. I would like to stick with this method right here. Just use the two letters, all right? Please use this in general, okay? Name this plane, okay? You need generally 3 letters to name a plane, okay? So we have, one way to name it would be, I have to draw a plane like that. Plane GHJ. It has to be 3 letters, not on the same line, always, okay? I could say plane HIJ. I could say plane JHI, JHG, HJI, IHJ, okay? I could also just say R, the script R that's in the right-hand corner, okay? That's another way to name it. But again, I would kind of like to stick with 3 letters, just very simply, okay? Name 2 collinear points. That means, notice the word line is in the word collinear. Collinear means 2 points on the same line. All right, so here we go. How about N, right? And P are 2 points on the same line, N and P. We could go with N and K. We could go with K and P. We could also do P and S. P and S are on the same line. Okay. Name 2 coplanar lines. Coplanar lines. Now we have a situation where you see this L, line L here. All right. It doesn't have 2 points on it. It only has the point N. So I'm going to call it L. Since I'm calling that L, I'm going to call this guy over here Q. L and Q. Yes, I generally want you to use 2 letters to name a line. In this case, use the script letters, okay? Those are 2 coplanar lines. Line S, you're supposed to see, ideally, see how it's going through the plane? This dashed line means it goes through the plane, kind of like, right? That's what's happening there. It's going through the plane. That's what the dashes mean. The dashes mean that's part of the line you can't see, but you know it's there, okay? What is the intersection of line AB and line XY? Hopefully that's obviously C, okay? What is the intersection of plane M and plane N? Hopefully you can see that that would be PQ, segment PQ. You could say line PQ because it really does go on forever. the planes really go on forever in both directions. Okay, so you can call it segment PQ or line PQ, as long as you understand that PQ is the intersection of the two planes. Okay. What is the intersection of line T with plane Z? Again, you see how it's going through the plane? The answer is just going to be that point right there, J. And we don't put point J, it's just J. That means point J. Okay. What is the intersection of lines A, B, and C? See how they all intersect at K. Done. What is the vertex? In number 9, what is the vertex? The vertex makes the V. Where's the V? Y. Point Y is the vertex. Okay. What are the sides of that angle? The sides of that angle are specifically ray YX. It can't be XY. It's got to be ray YX, because ray YX does this, goes this direction. If I said XY, okay, it goes this way. I don't want that. No, 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 no. No, I don't want that. Okay. So YX is one side, the other side is ray YZ. Okay. People ask me why I put a line through my Z's, so it doesn't look like a 2. All right. Name the angle. The angle is angle XYZ. The vertex must always, always, always be the second letter. The Y must be the second letter. Okay. You could also name it ZYX, angle ZYX. In this case, you could also name it angle Y. But I'm going to discourage you from doing that, because if we take a look here, all right, if I wanted to say angle F, what the heck angle would I be referring to? All right. So, for example, name an acute angle. Acute means less than 90 degrees. Less than 90 degrees. So, for example, angle AFB. What is angle AFB? Angle AFB would be this angle here. You start at A, you go to F, and from F, you go to B. That's this angle here. That is angle AFB. Okay. Another acute angle would be BFC. This angle here. Another acute angle would be AFE, this angle right here. That's an acute angle. Okay, but you certainly cannot call it angle F, because no one would know what angle you're referring to. Okay. All right. Name a right angle. A right angle. See this little square here? That means right angle, 90 degrees. That's going to be angle CFD or angle DFC. All right, angle CFD is a right angle. Name an obtuse angle that's bigger than 90 degrees. By the way, I'm going to jump back to CFD. CFD, you go from C to F to D. That's angle CFD, right? Okay. Name an obtuse angle that's going to be something like this. BFD. Angle BFD is an obtuse angle, bigger than 90. Okay. Name a straight angle. A straight angle will be this. angle AFD. Angle AFD is a straight angle, 180 degrees, straight. We call that an angle, AFD. Okay. Name two parallel lines. Okay, parallel lines are two lines that will not intersect. All right. So MN, line MN, got to put the arrows above it. Line PQ. Those are parallel lines. Name two perpendicular lines. Two perpendicular lines create a right angle. Okay, so for example, here and here. Little Thomas Stone blue and gold there, right? Because those two create a right angle. Those are perpendicular. So I'm going to call it WX is perpendicular with YZ. Those are perpendicular, okay? Name this line segment. This line segment is HJ or JH with a line, a bar above it, no arrows. Now, line HJ goes forever in both directions, but this is segment AJ that starts at H and goes to J, or starts at J and goes to H. Just that piece. It's a segment. It's a segment of the line. It's a line segment. Segment HJ, just the bar, no arrows above it. Name the ray. Please note that this ray starts at K and goes through L. Because we read from left to right, we must call it KL and a ray above it. Now, even though the ray is not going the same direction as the one in the picture, this is how we draw it. Okay, we do not do this. No, 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 don't do that. Okay, that's not correct. This is ray KL, that's all it is. Okay. Name the ray opposite HC. Okay. You see HC, all right. If HC goes this way, what's opposite? What's the opposite direction? The opposite direction would be this direction, HE. You need HE with a ray above it, okay? What's opposite HG? Does it make sense that opposite, let's do this. Opposite HG is going to be HD. Okay. Oops. What's opposite HF? This is one of those things that I will rarely do to you. There's nothing opposite HF, okay? I will rarely give you a problem that has no answer. None or nothing, okay? Name the midpoint of WY, okay? The midpoint of WY is V, isn't it? Just put V. Okay. Name a segment equidistant or equal or congruent. Congruent means equal. Equidistant to ZV. You see ZV has these two bars here. All right, and you see these two bars here. That means ZV from Z to V is going to be equal to this here, v to x. So you can either say vx or xv. zv is equidistant to xv or vx. Okay. Name the segment bisector of xz. Okay. xz. All right. So in other words, do you see that this guy right here, xz, is being cut in half? What is cutting it in half? Does it make sense that WY, the segment WY, is the thing that's cutting ZX or XZ into two equal parts? So WY is actually the knife that's cutting it. Okay. Name the segment bisector of WY. So now, here is WY. What is the knife that's cutting WY into two equal parts? That's going to be, can you say it before I write it? ZX, right? ZX is the segment cutting WY into two equal parts. Notice how WV has that bar and VY has that little bar. That means WV is equal to YV, which is my next question. Name a segment congruent to WV. That's going to be YV or VY, either way. Has to have the bar over it. If you put arrows, that's wrong, because line YV goes on forever, and that's certainly not equal to segment YV. You can't have a line ever congruent to a segment. Okay, that'll never work. All right. Name the angle congruent to angle AXB. So first of all, here's AXB. Now, do you see this double mark here? That double mark right here, okay? And there's a double mark here. It means those two angles are equal. This angle is equal to this angle, and that's always going to be the case. Always. In other words, let me tell you this. Whenever you have two crossing lines like this, okay, this angle will always be equal to this angle. And not only that, but this angle will always be equal to this angle, always. Okay, so to answer the question, what angle is congruent? Congruent means equal, by the way. Congruent to angle AXB is going to be angle EXD. Right? EXD. Okay. All right. Name the angle congruent to BXC. Do you see this little guy here? That little bar, that little, it's not a bar, it's a little arc, all right? And there's another one right here. That means that these two angles are congruent. This one is congruent to this one, okay? So here's angle BXC. BXC. What's congruent to that one? Congruent to that one is going to be CXD, right? Angle CXD. Okay. Name the angle bisector of BXD. So Here's what I'm saying. Here is BXD. What is cutting? What's the cutter? What's the knife that's cutting BXD in half? Isn't that this guy right here? That's going to be ray XC. Okay. It can't be CX because CX would go this way. No. It's just XC. Okay. Ray XC is cutting BXD in half. All right. Name the midpoint of AD. Here's A, here's D. What's the midpoint? Meaning, see, you have, again, this bar and this bar, meaning those two segments are equal, which means X must be the midpoint, right? That should be easy, right? Name the segment congruent to DX. Okay, DX. DX, right, has this mark here. So congruent to it is going to be this mark here, that segment, which is AX, right? Segment AX. Okay. Okay. Name this circle. Oh, whoops. Oh, hold on. I'm coming back. Wait a minute. Where'd you go? There you are. All right. Name this circle. Okay. This circle is always, the name of the circle is always the center. The center of the circle is Q. It's just circle Q. Okay. We could say a little thing, circle Q like that, or just circle Q. Okay. Name an arc. An arc is from here to here. So this is arc PR. PR is an arc. Could you name another arc? Sure you can. Arc, RN. That's another arc. Arc, NS. Arc, SM. Arc, MP. Or how about this? Arc, MR. Right? That's another arc. How about this? Arc PN. That's another arc. PN. Right? Now, here is a very crucial point that I want you to be aware of. All right. What if I want to name this guy right here, from here, P, all the way to S? All right. If I tried to name it PS, that wouldn't be good. You know why? Because this is PS. This guy here is PS, arc PS. So how the heck am I going to name the blue one? Well, the blue one is going to be arc PRS. I need 3 letters to name an arc that's bigger than 180. If it's smaller than 180, it has to be 2 letters, but bigger than 80 has to be 3. Could I name the blue one PNS? Of course I could, yes. I just have to have 3 letters for an arc that's bigger than 180, okay? All right. Name a radius. A radius is from the center straight to the edge of the circle, okay? QR. is a radius, or RQ. QP is a radius. QM is a radius. QS is a radius. QN is a radius. And it has to have the bar. No arrow. Has to have a bar. If you put arrows, it's going to be wrong, because a line goes on forever, and that's not the radius. So it's very different if you put QR with arrows than if you put QR with a bar. And I hope you understand the difference. It's very important. Okay. Name the diameter. Here's the diameter. The diameter goes all the way from one side to the other through the center. Through the center. Okay. MN is the radius. There's no other radius shown in that circle. MN is the radius. Sorry, that's diameter. MN is the diameter. Okay. MN goes from one side through the center to the other side. That's called the diameter. Okay. Name 5 congruent segments. That is the radii. Those are the radii, or radiuses. We don't say radiuses, it's radii. Radii is spelled like this. That's more than one radius, radii. Okay, so it's going to be QP, QR, got to put the bar, QN, QS, QM. All 5 are congruent because they're all the radius. Okay. That's your introduction to geometry. You've been watching the Weiss channel.